New at 6, the F-22 Raptors are flying high again above Langley Air Force Base. The military grounded these stealth fighters for a few days following what the Air Force called, quote, a physiological event experienced by one of the pilots.
Well, even though the planes and their other pilots were cleared for takeoff this morning, there are still a lot of unanswered questions about the status of the F-22. 10 News Side's Art Khan has been following the story. So, Art, what kind of physiological event would cause Langley commanders to order a two-day stand-down?
Yeah, well, Alvita and Tom, that is the million-dollar question. Base commanders have not given any more explanation. The order to stand down was issued only to Langley pilots, but the entire fleet of Raptors was grounded in May after more than a dozen pilots reported a problem with the plane's life support system, and it's believed to have been a factor in a deadly crash in Alaska.
Just 1 month after the F-22s at Langley returned to flight in September, the planes were grounded once again last week. The only reason given for the stand-down ordered by Langley commanders was a, quote, physiological event.
We have repeatedly requested interviews from Langley Air Force Base, and no one will speak to us.
Although Langley has refused to release any details about the so-called physiological event, an Air Force spokesperson in Alaska told the Associated Press that the commander of the 1st Fighter Wing at Langley issued the stand-down after a pilot experienced hypoxia-like symptoms for an extended period on Thursday. While training for a flight in the Navy's E-2 Hawkeye last year, I learned about the dangers of hypoxia.
Your motor skills will slow down, your heart rate will speed up, your breathing will speed up. You'll watch your skin become very pale and white.
Eventually, the pilot will lose consciousness. Initial investigations by the Air Force have examined the system that supplies oxygen to the pilot in the cockpit of the F-22. And in a statement issued by Langley when the planes were grounded last spring, officials said, quote, the stand-down is a prudent measure following recent reports of potential oxygen system malfunctions.
So if another pilot experienced hypoxia-like symptoms just last week, was the decision to return to flight today prudent? Well, we wanted to ask Langley's commanders that question, but again, they refused to talk to us. A Langley spokesperson, however, told me this afternoon that right now commanders are hypersensitive to any physiological conditions reported by pilots, and they continue to monitor the situation. Art Khan, 10 on your side.
And by the way, last month, the military did perform a thorough investigation of the life support systems aboard the F-22 and made some modifications inside the cockpit.